Well, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while since I've done one of these talking head videos where it's just me and not a guest. I've had a lot of requests for them. One reason is getting over COVID again. I've had it 3 times now, so just getting my voice back actually, so I don't know. Been vaccinated, been boosted, and still I keep getting sick, so I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I'm fine now. This is a video I've been considering making for many months, and I think I owe it to my subscribers and my viewers to kind of share it with you. If you're new to the channel, there will be a link to probably the first video I ever did explaining why I came to the Philippines, why I changed my life and all that. I'm not going to go into too much of that in this video, but I'm going to let you know how YouTube literally saved my life. I mean, the more I think about it, I was going to call this video how YouTube changed my life, how it improved my life, but when you come right down to it, the truth is YouTube saved my life. They really did. Before I came to the Philippines, I had like a 10-year spiral. I don't know if any of you guys have ever gone through something like that where you're at the peak of your career, everything's going great, you're making money, you're happy, everything's going fine, and then all of a sudden one thing happens and another, and slowly after 10 years you just spiral down, and one thing gets worse and worse. I went through a divorce, which if any of you guys have gone through a divorce, and many of my subscribers have been divorced, you know that that's probably one of the most painful things you can go through, especially when you've got children involved. And then on top of that, I had quadruple bypass surgery, a bankruptcy, lost everything, health problems, you name it. And then to top it off, one of my very best friends stabbed me in the back with a business deal that we were working on, that it was my one chance to turn my life around at my darkest moment. And basically stabbed me in the back and kind of, ruined any chance I had of surviving. And so you get to a point sometimes, especially when you're in your 60s, and your options, of course, the older you get, your options are less and less and less. I mean, the choices you have when you're 35 and you're 65 are totally different. And you guys know that. And so like many of you, if you're watching this, you're a YouTuber, you're someone who spends time on YouTube. We all do different things. There's millions of videos out there, thousands of channels. God knows there's thousands of them way better than this one. I'm not an information channel. I'm not like, the place to go to find out about visas and money and relationships and all that. I basically interview guys, and I started telling stories about myself because COVID hit, there wasn't anybody to interview. So that's the only reason I kind of opened up about myself on things that before I wasn't even going to even talk about. So anyway, there I am, back in America, in Kentucky, living with my mother, miserable. I didn't have a job. I could have gone back to selling cars, which I was really good at. As a matter of fact, Jaguar Land Rover had openly offered me my job back, and it was a great company, and they treated me well, but I just hate selling cars. It's just not for me. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was just in a very dark place. And so like many of you, I'm entertaining myself with YouTube. I'm on there, watching videos of different things, and we all do different things. I mean, some of you guys out there, I've got friends of mine that are senior citizens like me. They're living here in the Philippines, and they'll spend hours on YouTube watching, animal videos of like a baby monkey in a duck plane, or, big fails, people screwing up at work and forklifts crashing into things, or, whatever it is. They find their little niche of stupid stuff and spend hours watching it. And I was guilty of that too. I watched some of that stupid stuff too. But I'm sitting there, and all I've got is my little Samsung phone with a cracked screen, nothing to do, by myself, and just getting more, not so much depressed. It was just kind of lethargic. It was like I just didn't care about living anymore. I mean, life just, I didn't see any possibility for the future that could be bright, even that could be okay, that could be tolerable. It's just like, it seemed no point. I wasn't ever going to see my children again because I was, there was no place for them to come see me. I had no house, no money, no nothing. And it just, things were getting worse and worse. And so kind of to cheer myself up, I'm on YouTube. And so instead of watching the cat videos and the funny videos, I started watching videos of people who had been in similar situations to me and had turned their lives around. Some of them had been living in their car. Some of them had lost everything. Some of them had had horrible accidents where they were disfigured or blind even. And somehow they'd managed to turn their lives around. So I started watching videos like that. And those kind of gave me like a glimmer of hope, a little glimmer of hope that, ending your life is not the way to do it, that there's always a way out. And so the more videos I watched like that, the algorithm, I guess, I don't know how YouTube works, but I'm assuming it saw that that's what I was watching. So it started feeding me more uplifting videos about guys and women who had turned their lives around and who had gone from very dark places to being successful. And so I started watching those. And then somehow it drifted into people who were no longer in America, because I realized, with my income and my options that I couldn't afford to have even a decent little life in America. I couldn't afford a tiny apartment or anything. I had a really nice car that was paid for, 10 years old, no car payment. I had a lot of credit card debt from when I was sick and gone through my bankruptcy and was trying to build this business. I spent a lot of money on my credit cards building this business, which was stolen from me by my best friend. And so I had a lot of debt, and I was just starting to collect my Social Security. And after, the Social Security was like a little over $800 a month, and then by the time I paid my credit card bills, I had like $300 left over. And so I said, there's really nothing I can do there. And so I started thinking, what if I, bought a van and lived in a van and traveled around America and just lived off that little bit of money per month and got some part-time jobs. And your mind does different things, but basically from watching videos of other people, I basically realized you had to reprogram your whole brain. Your whole mind your subconscious had to be reprogrammed to find a solution. And so I started, basically my mantra was, I have to change my life. I have got to change my life. I didn't say what had to happen. I just said, I have got to change my life. And then my mother, who is a very positive thinker, and she's an astrologer, and she's always like trying to inspire me and keep me positive. She said to say something like, every day in every way, my life is better. Every day in every way, I'm making my life better. I would say things like, I have more money than I need because I earn more money than I need. Another one was, money flows to me easily and frequently because I have manifested multiple streams of income, okay? And it sounds silly. I know a lot of you guys think, that's total bullshit. But I was saying that over and over with feeling outside. I was like, sometimes shout it. And I kept doing this. And all of a sudden, again with YouTube, different videos started coming up. And all of a sudden I started seeing videos of people who had left America and gone to Thailand, or who were living on a sailboat, a couple, and they're sailing around the world and making money doing that. They're living in the Philippines, wherever. And so I started watching these videos and kind of living vicariously through these other people, mostly men, and watching the videos. I'd be sipping this a lot because I'm just getting my voice back. And it made me feel better. It made me feel a lot better. So wow, maybe I could do something like that. Maybe I could go to another country, and there I could live off whatever income I had. And then I started thinking, well, I've got to find a way to make money. You can't work in another country, just like someone can't come to America and get a job without a green card. It's the same thing every place else in the world. You can't go to the Philippines or Thailand and go get a job as a bartender or whatever, because it's against the law. You don't have a work permit. even if you did, the wages are so low, it wouldn't be any good to you anyway. So I thought, well, I got to find a way to make money online. And again, so I started searching on YouTube. Once again, there are thousands and thousands of ways to make money online, and YouTube has in-depth videos on every single one of them. A lot of them are just scams, or a lot of them are rated on what you can do. You know, they're trying to get you to buy a product or buy a course or whatever. But there's also thousands and thousands of legitimate ones where people like you and me have figured out a way to do it, and they're kind enough to go on YouTube and share it with the world. And so I started watching that. I came across teaching English. Well, I don't have a college degree. You have to have what's called I think it's called TOEFL, something like that, where it's a degree that you can prove that you're certified to teach English online. I didn't have that, and I didn't really want to teach English anyway, because I'm not skilled enough in that. Even though I've written a novel and published it, and I know all the grammar and stuff, I couldn't sit there and explain to you a dangling participle. And then I came across Cambly, which is tutoring English, where all you have to do is have conversations with people, video chats, and casual conversation, and they just want to practice their English with a native speaker. How much does it pay? $10 an hour. Well, that's not much in America, but that's a hell of a lot of money in the Philippines or Thailand or anywhere over here in Asia. And so I said, okay, I'll try that. And so again, with YouTube, I watched these videos of people who were actually doing it. They gave me tips on how to do the little interview and how to fill out the form and how to apply and how to get hired. And I did all that. And the first time I did it, I sent it in and applied, and nothing happened. 2 weeks went by, nothing happened. And then finally, I did it again. I applied again. Second time, your account's active. Okay, great. But then I found out I had a virus on my computer, and it was basically eating my hard drive. So my computer had terminal cancer. Is basically how to describe it. So I take my computer to some computer guy. He explains to me I've got all these viruses on my computer, and so he has to take the hard drive out, make a mirror of it, whatever. Cost me like $300 or $400, which, for me, back then things were so bad, $10 was a lot of money. But anyway, I got my computer fixed, got the Cambly thing up and running. And I always tell people that if you're going to find a way to make money online and then move to another country, test everything out before you leave. Make sure it's all working, which I did. I mean, the Cambly was working. I figured out my bank accounts and all that stuff. So if I went anywhere, I hadn't planned to go. I hadn't made plans to go anywhere yet, but I was preparing myself. And so then more YouTube videos. Okay, well, Thailand was kind of like the place I thought I would go to, because that's where seemed to be the most popular at the time as far as the videos that YouTube was sending me. And of course, the only challenge there is speaking Thai, which I couldn't learn to speak Spanish, so the chances of me learning to speak Thai are impossible. But anyway, so I kept thinking about it. I said, once again, I'm telling myself these mantras, you have to change your life. And so finally, I just made the decision, you got to make steps forward. Like Tony Robbins says this, it's like, if you want to change your life and make progress, you got to do something. And a lot of these self-help programs, like The Secret's another one. I'm sure you guys probably heard of The Secret. It came out about 10, 15 years ago. It was a book and a DVD. I thought it was fantastic. And The Secret helped me out a lot at a different point in my life. But I kind of believe in that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm doing all this positive thinking. Anytime a negative thought pops into my head, I'm deleting it. But I keep telling myself, you have to do something. You have to go somewhere. You have to change your life. And I decided that it just became very clear to me that I have to go to another country, that was the solution. I got to just get rid of everything and leave. Now, I'd already lost my house. I got rid of a bunch of stuff. I had a big storage locker with whatever things I had left in there, the few possessions I was hanging on to. And I realized that stuff had to go. So on Craigslist and eBay, I'm slowly getting rid of stuff. Things that I spent hundreds of dollars on, thousands of dollars on, because I lived in this house for 15 years, a big 5-bedroom house, 15 years, you know, so you have all my stuff, my daughter's stuff there, you know, and, you know, all these things to get rid of, and most of you just give away to charity because nobody wants it. But I sold things off. That's how I was surviving week to week, you know, was with the money I was making selling my possessions. You know, sometimes you make $100 a week, sometimes 500, you know, until everything was, I narrowed it down to like a closet size storeroom. And I had my car, that's the thing I held on to the longest. I had a really nice car back, and again, I bought this car back when the top of my career, back when I was doing really, really well. You know, I was hugely successful. I spent over $50,000 for this car. It was a Infiniti FX45, all custom, every option that was available. It was 2005, and this car, since when I was on ships, I didn't drive it. I'd stand in my garage with a trickle charger on it. Brand new tires, brand new brakes. I mean, it looked like it came off the showroom floor, and I wanted to sell it. So that was my one little cash thing of income. But I put it in all these different listings. Nobody wanted to buy that car. Nobody. It was a V8 too. Nobody wanted to buy that car, and so I left it with my brother, and he was going to sell it for me when he could. So I didn't have that money. It was kind of locked up in that car. So anyway, I made the decision I was going to go to Thailand. And so on my credit cards, even though I had these credit cards, I had all this debt, I always paid my bills on time, ever since that bankruptcy. Like once that bankruptcy happened, I held on to some credit cards and kept making payments on them. And so I had good credit with my credit cards, but they didn't have a lot of limit on them. You know, like this one might have $200, $500, whatever. They were all very low limit, high interest cards. Several of them I got after the bankruptcy because they send you lots of credit card applications after your bankruptcy. So anyways, I went online and I found a ticket to, one-way ticket from Louisville, Kentucky to Dumaguete. I decided on Dumaguete because of watching YouTube videos, people like Rike, Old Dog New Tricks, and it seemed like as good a place as any to go. And so my plan was, well, go to the Philippines, they speak English there, and then I was going to spend 2 weeks here. That's all I booked. I booked 2 weeks here at a Airbnb, a real cheap one in Valencia, and then I was going to go on to Thailand. So 2 weeks to check out the Philippines, and then on to Thailand. Again, YouTube's helping me out. YouTube's telling me about the airport, about the visa. Everything I needed to know was right there on YouTube, everything. And so I did my research. While I was doing all that, I stumbled across one of Rike's videos, Rike's Life Beyond the Sea, and he had done a little video on an apartment complex called Dulce Vida. And I said, wow, that looks really nice. You know, it was like a nice, you know, complex with all expats living there, foreigners. They had a pool, and it was a studio apartment, all furnished with internet and everything. And it was like $220.5 a month, you know, within my budget. You know, I said, wow, I could afford that. And so I kept that in the back of my mind, you know, about Dulce Vida. And then just by pure chance, I don't know how it happened, but my friend Paul, Old Dog New Tricks, a video of him popped up, and it was before he even had a YouTube channel. This was a video that Paul made. I can't tell you where to find it, but a video that Paul made about his life. And he basically just got there in front of the camera and bared his soul. And all these things that happened to him, he'd gone through things even worse than I've gone through, much harder than I'd gone through, and come out the other side and was now, you know, living in the Philippines. And I said, well, I'd like to meet this guy. So I think I messaged him on Facebook, found him on Facebook, messaged him, and he got right back to me and said, yeah, sure, if you're in Dumaguete, you know, look me up and we'll have a cup of coffee. That was it. So anyway, I bought the ticket, non-refundable, cheapest one I could get. It was right around $600 if I remember. And then I got rid of everything else that was left, put the rest in storage, put some stuff in my mother's attic, and then I had to tell my family. Nobody knew what I was doing. So I tell my mother, so look, you know, I've decided I'm going to move to the Philippines. And she was shocked, and my brothers were shocked, and my sister was shocked, and my daughter was shocked, and everybody thought I'd kind of gone over the edge. They thought I was having a nervous breakdown. But I just like knew I had to do it. And once I bought that ticket, it was non-refundable. I realized that this is really going to happen. I'm really doing this. And the time started flying by. It's like I only had like 2.5 weeks before my flight. So I booked an Airbnb, a really cheap one in Valencia, where you basically got a room, a bed on the floor, a fan screwed to the wall. I did have my own bathroom, which wasn't very nice. It was just very basic. And it was 12,000 pesos a month, which is about 200 bucks at the time. And it had free internet, that's it. So anyway, again, YouTube. And the YouTube had a video of the place and everything, but the YouTube video was when it was new. The YouTube video wasn't the way it was when I got there. It had kind of been run down a lot since that video came out. Also, the owner and his wife had gotten divorced, and so she was running it by herself now. It was basically a very different place than as advertised. But she was nice. She picked me up at the airport when I arrived in Dumaguete. I had bought myself a brand new computer at Walmart with my Walmart card because that's the only credit card I had that had any money left on it. I mean, it was a $300 Lenovo computer, a cheap computer. But I had bought myself a computer, and I had T-Mobile at the time, and I went to T-Mobile, bought myself a new Samsung phone, again on credit. At the airport, I bought a lot of stuff. I was smart enough to know that I'm not coming back. So I bought, 2 suitcases stuffed full of things, anything I could possibly need. I bought beef jerky. I actually made like 4 pounds of beef jerky and brought that with me to eat. So at the airport, I've told this story before, but I'll just quickly tell it. My brand new laptop fell off the stack of luggage on the ground. When I finally got to the Airbnb and got set up for the next morning to start teaching on Canva, remember, I tested all this stuff out, so I was ready to go. I take the new computer out. I noticed like a chip in the corner of the screen, and I figured that's when I dropped it. Well, the computer wouldn't turn on, broken. And I'm freaking out, like, what am I going to do? This is my only computer. I was hoping to make $100 to $200 a week tutoring English. And they pay you every week via PayPal, and that's how I was going to survive. That was my lifeline, and now my lifeline was broken. And so, again, I get on YouTube, on computers and stuff, and there wasn't really a whole lot that could tell me what was wrong with the computer, and I know nothing about fixing computers. So I basically took my Swiss Army knife out. I took the whole screen apart, took the bottom apart, and put it all back together. I just checked connections and stuff, and put it back together, and lo and behold, it works. So I was up and running, started doing my my tutoring on Cambly, and found out that I was really good at it. I quickly acquired a lot of students. I was enjoying it. The problem is where I was living. Another thing they didn't tell me about the Airbnb, it was right next to a sawmill. And so I'd be there with the student, and all of a sudden, these great big huge chainsaws they use to turn coconut trees into lumber. They're like 6 feet long. They take the mufflers off of them, like rah, 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 all day long. And there was no place in that Airbnb that I could find that was quiet to teach. And they even offered me different places. They tried to help me, but it didn't work. And then I met this German guy that was there. He was a friendly guy, Turst, and he wanted to show me a little bit around and said, have you seen the waterfall? And literally, right up the road, like say 4 kilometers from where the Airbnb was, is a spectacular waterfall called Casa Aurora. It's like 10, 20 meters high, but it's way, way down in the gorge. You have to hike down like 350 steps into a very steep gorge along a river, and then there's this spectacular waterfall. And so I took an afternoon off from teaching English, got on the back of his motorbike, he rode me up there, we hiked down there, and we get to the waterfall. And for years I've had this fanny pack that I bought in Brazil. It's made out of leather, and I've used it all over the world and whenever I'm traveling and hiking. And I had my new Samsung phone, my keys, and some other things in that fanny pack. We get to the waterfall, and I go to get my camera out. I want to video the waterfall. Well, the fanny pack's gone. After 30-something years, it had fallen off, and it had fallen off in the river. In the river. Now, the river's only like maybe 1.5 to 2.5, 3 feet deep, depending. It's a mountain stream, ice cold water. Couldn't find it. I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do now? Because a lot of times when there was no internet, which happens all the time in Valencia, I was using my cell phone as a hotspot. And so I'm screwed again. Anyway, as we're leaving, I saw these two boys there, and I explained to them what I lost. And I said I would give them 1,000 pesos if they could find my fanny pack. And 1,000 pesos is right around 20 bucks. But in the Philippines, 1,000 pesos is like more money than some people make in a whole week. And so it's a lot of money to them. Fortunately for me, the very next day, these two boys showed up at my Airbnb, and sure enough, they had got goggles and scanned the whole river there for who knows how many yards, and they found my fanny pack. Everything was inside. The phone, of course, was ruined, but I was able to get the SD card out. So with the little bit of money I had left, I showed up with, it's funny, the ticket was $600, but I also had $600 in cash after I'd sold things and turned my US dollars into pesos. So I had $600 in cash. I got down to the mall, bought the cheapest Samsung phone you can find, which was like $90, and used that, to get back in business. And so anyway, I'm thinking like, things are worse here than they were in America. I mean, I broke my laptop, I was able to fix it, lost my brand new $600 phone. Yeah, the phone, everything was $600. The phone was $600 too. I just forgot that. So, but lost my phone, and so I'm thinking things are going to keep getting worse. But that was like the last bad thing that happened. That was the last bad thing that happened. The next thing you know, I'm making, started making money on Cambly. It's a little more than I thought I was going to make. Sure enough, every Monday, PayPal, they send me the money. I transfer it to my bank account in America. I can draw it out the ATM, and I'm going, okay, I'm going to be okay financially. I can easily afford where I'm at now, no problem. But I had no transportation. I'm way up on the mountain. I literally was eating beef jerky for meals, and because I couldn't get into town, to go shopping or anything. And so at the Airbnb, they had this Honda Scoopy. It's a scooter, and it was all beat up, been wrecked many times. It was pink scooter, very small. It was so small that when I sat on it, my knees hit the handlebars. But anyway, they said they'd rent it to me for 5,000 pesos a month. That's 100 bucks. I said, great, I need some transportation. Then I rented the Scoopy, and then I could go looking for other places to live. I could go to the mall. I could go to McDonald's. I could get around, try and find out, where I was, get my bearings. And so that really changed everything once I had some transportation. And so I'm going around looking for, different places. And again, with YouTube, looking at apartments, learning all the things that you should do. Like, for example, here in the Philippines, you first want to check the water pressure, because I know friends of mine that bought apartments and they moved in and everything looks great, and then on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they have no water at all, or they have no internet most of the time. All these things, like, I was tipped off on YouTube. And so I'm watching these videos. And so then I decided to move to Dulce Vita. I go over there, check it out. It's everything that Enrique said it was, and the owners were really nice. The problem was they wanted 3 months up front. They wanted first month's rent, last month's rent, and 1 month deposit. I didn't have that much money. And so the owner, she saw something good in me. She said, well, I really want you to live here. You can pay the first month and the last month, and then you can pay me so much a month for like 3 months until you paid the deposit too. I said, okay, fine, so I did that. And I moved in there, and that was a big change, because all these guys that lived there were all expats. Many of them had been there for a long time. One guy had been there for like 10 years. One guy had been there for like 5 years at the same apartment complex. And of course, they all thought they were, words of wisdom and that they knew everything. And I'm a world traveler. I've been on cruise ships. I've traveled to almost 100 countries. I've been around the world. I know how to get around in another country. I know how to, behave myself, find things out. And then of course I had YouTube. But they kept wanting to give me all this advice. And of course the one thing they want to talk about the most is women. They want to tell you, oh, you got to watch out for these Filipinas, and you got to do this and got to do that, and they'll do this to you and they'll say that, and all this bullshit, And I just told them, I said, look guys, I'm not here to meet anybody. I'm here to change my life. I'm here to survive. I don't want any information. I don't want any advice from you guys about dating, period. And they kept trying. I finally would have to tell them. I almost got in a fight with one guy. I said, look, dude, I said, if I want your advice on dating, I'll ask you. It's none of your damn business if I go out with anybody. And I wasn't dating anybody. It wasn't even thinking about it. Well, anyway, so one day I'm in Valencia at the place called the Red Table, where a lot of the locals hang out, the expats. And I'm sitting there having my breakfast, and here comes Paul McGill, old dog, new tricks. I go, hey, Paul, and he looks over and I said, hey, I'm Mark. I emailed you several months ago, and he sat down, and next thing you know, we're talking, and we became good friends, and he was kind of like my mentor, and helping me out, giving me advice on different things. And we got to know each other over like about a month or two, and he was single at the time, and so was I. And he said, well, we should go out sometime, So we started going out like, once a week we go to Why Not, which is the local nightclub here. And Paul knows everybody, knew a lot of people. And we had this whole gaggle of girls. There was like probably 5 or 6 of them. And they would go out with us. And we weren't sleeping with any of these girls. This is just like, they were just friends, but they were, attractive girls. And so we'd go into Why Not, go walking in there. We had a whole group of girls with us, brought them with us. And we'd sit there and have some drinks and, listen to music. The girls would all dance, and everybody was wondering, who are those 2 guys that walk in here with all those girls? And we just had fun. And then I finally started thinking, well, maybe I should start dating. And so Paul started dating. I think he was dating May or somebody else at the time. And so I started going out on occasional date, like, just coffee or dinner someplace, or, maybe once a week, that was it. And again, on YouTube, it's telling you all these things to look out for and what a nice girls are like, what the red flags are, all that. So I watched some of those videos. And one thing led to another, and I found out what websites, you can go on. Like most people in today's world, they're finding people online. And so I said, okay, if that's what they're doing, I'll check out these websites. And so I registered, and sure enough, ended up meeting my future wife, Jen, on a website that was recommended, or not recommended, but discussed on YouTube. And then I watched some YouTube videos on relationships and how Filipinos feel about American men, or how they want to be treated, and learned all this stuff. Again, YouTube. But no, I had no intention, never even thought of having a channel. It hadn't even crossed my mind. All these months of useful information that had already transformed my life, and I didn't even realize at the time how much change it was until I sat there one day and I looked out and I go, wow, I'm in this nice little apartment. I got all these new friends. I got a girlfriend. I got money in the bank. I paid all my bills already. They're not even due. I paid all my bills. Things are going amazingly well. Amazingly well, all because of information from YouTube, all of it. And then Paul told me the YouTube channel. I didn't even know this. The video that I saw of him, he basically bared his soul and told him all these things. He was just a Facebook post. He didn't have a channel back then. And so anyway, he told me he had a channel. I looked at it and I go, wow, that's interesting. And I started watching his videos. And back in America, working on cruise ships, I've done like little TV shows on the ships and radio shows on ships. I was executive producer of a show called the Dr. Stan Frager Show in Louisville, Kentucky. It was a Sunday night radio show, basically having to do with psychology. And so I have some radio experience. Of course, being a production stage manager, been on microphones and all that stuff. So I thought, well, I could do this. You know, what Paul is doing, I could do something like that myself. And so Paul showed me everything, how to get it set up, you know, how to do a channel, and gave me advice on it. And so I came up with the idea of every man has a story, where I figured, well, I like interviewing people. That's what I used to do on the radio. I said, I love just talking to people and interviewing them. I said, there's lots of guys around here. This is before COVID. And I said, I could interview people. That's what I could do. And so I started interviewing guys. And the first video I did was just basically who I was. And I'll put a link to that in here about my sad story. But it just kind of took off. And got monetized, started making money, and I was surprised how much money I could make. And now I don't even do Cambly anymore. And there's nothing wrong with Cambly. I mean, it's just, well, I make $10 an hour when I can make a lot more, you know, interviewing people. And it's basically, you know, it's changed my life. I mean, right now, I'm in this beautiful apartment, 3-bedroom apartment, you know, 2 bathrooms, all furnished, free internet, free water, private beach. I mean, the beach is right there. I've got a beautiful wife. I've got more friends than I've ever had in my entire life. Everything's great. And then I talked to you how I got COVID again. And again, online, YouTube, what to check, what to do. I was having some trouble with my heart also. And there was a drug, I can't remember what it was, but I looked online, was able to get it without a prescription, solved my problem, and found a doctor here in Dumaguete who's taking good care of me. I got a cardiologist now. All these things I'm finding, you know, with the internet and with YouTube. And so all I can say to you guys is, if you're in, you know, a dark place, or you're wanting to change your life, and you're trying to think, you know, how can I transform my life? How can I get a different job? How can I improve my health? How can I do whatever? YouTube's the answer. It's all right there. Anything you want to do, anything you want to know, you want to learn how to play guitar? YouTube. You want to learn how to fix your washer? YouTube. You know, in my house before I moved, my washer broke. I couldn't afford a repairman. Went on YouTube, my 25-year-old Maytag washer, some guy made a video of how to fix exactly the problem I had. And it cost me like $5 to fix my washer. I had a breaker go out in my house. I don't know nothing about electricity. Went on YouTube, showed me how to fix that breaker. So if you're spending your time watching cat videos or fail videos of people doing stupid stuff, think about that. Is it really worth that hour of your time? I mean, there's things you could learn on YouTube that could transform your life, could make your life better. But anyway, that's all I've got to say. You know, YouTube saved my life, literally. And thank you, YouTube. Goodbye, everybody.